our Battle X tournament. And this loading screen is lasting slightly longer than I anticipated. We are looking at this is just a single cloud in the middle with the two rocks. In the bottom left, we have Obi-Wan going Shield Regeneration Colossus, Weakening going Mutation, Helveticano going Imp, Plutarch going Shield Regeneration Colossus, Nox going Plague, and Severf going Charges. So another 4-tank composition from him. Then in the top right, we have Kush going Mutation, Saranja going Imp, Admiral Nova going 4-3 Colossus, Mu going 4-3 Colossus, Seb going Plague, and Kraken going Charges. So we have two 4-tank compositions against each other. Who will be the tankiest of the tanks? So we have Levy versus Levy, Ovi versus Ovi, Raven versus Raven, Colossus versus Colossus, Colossus versus Colossus, and then Dread versus Dread. This is actually, in fact, a straight mirror match now. So that is interesting, right? This must be what was each team thinking would be the best in a heavy tank versus heavy tank composition, and they both came up with something like this. You want the Raven, you want the Overlord, you want the Leviathan, you want the Dread, and then I guess the double Colossus in the middle seemed to make sense to both teams. I mean, it certainly seems like that's where you're going to get a lot of the best early game pressure. So there's definitely something there. Looks like Kraken is having a bit of a keyboard problem, so we have a slight pause here. And one of the main differences then being the 4-3 open versus the 2, or this is a 4-3 open, so it's just Plutarch with the shield regeneration open. I do play some Colossus, but I don't think I've messed around with the shield regeneration opening, right? The idea here being that Plutarch, where even is he? Right, he's red. Herpaderp. Gets the quantum reactor, right? He gets the quantum reactor, he gets 2 shields, and this is the key part of his opening, is that he can get the shield regeneration in combat, 15%, so that he can just sustain a lot longer. But he doesn't do as much damage, right? So this is one of the reasons that a lot of people just like the 4-3 open, is that you get the damage, you get the shields, and even though they don't regenerate in combat, they can still do really well. And so we'll see how these initial plagues land and where these initial imps land. Right? If the one Raven can land the imp on the other, that can be a really nice little early game swing. If you can get multiple ships landed, that can be nice. Hopefully I'm not the one lagging here. It is Weaking. After this, what a kind of disruptive opening game. Okay, there we go. So we got, it's the imps right now and the plagues, right? You gotta think, do you prioritize? There we go, okay. So Helveticano lands an imp on Saranja and Admiral Nova, very strong opening imp. And so now we'll see, okay, Plague landed on Plutarch, and Nox, looks like he landed Plague on Kush. And so now we have this just massive meat in the middle, as Kraken and Severf drop charges on each other. And there's just a little bit of a push going on here. They're trying to get in if Red Team really wants to be able to get in on Kraken here. Severf is out of energy for charges, though, so he won't be able to deal more damage there. But since this is, the comps are so similar, they can just turn if they have more shields, right? Severf has one more charge, so he's trying to get in, get a good drop on Mu, it looks like. And there it is, it doesn't quite land. Oh, but Moo just goes back into it. I don't know why he just ate that charge like that, but okay. And Seb trying to just get a little bit of his bio discharge on Helveticano. Those little 50 damage pokes can be nice in this early part of the game. And blue team is going to push back out. Farm is still quite even. A little bit of an HP advantage on the red team, but not huge. And so this could solidify into and go into a mid-game. At which point it will really be the upgrade paths that make a big difference. I guess what we're seeing here is that Plutarch's shield regeneration opening, it doesn't actually result in him having more shields than Obi-Wan at this moment, but it certainly is not so much worse that they end up getting pushed at all, right? I mean, Mu and Admiral Nova are still lower on shields. Certainly a part of that is because of just the one imp, and because of how the charges were landing. But Weaking is trying to push in on Kush here with his 5 Bile Swarm, his 8 range. Actually, Kush has the range advantage at the moment. He's trying to slightly out-kite them in this early game, but it can be tricky. And both teams have, for the moment, just kind of abandoned the bottom lane. There was too much pressure in the mid to get too caught up in the farm on the side lane. Kraken is taking a little bit of rocket damage, but not too much. And red team is going to push in a little bit here and get just a bit of a farm lead. They're up to 100 now, and they would certainly like to get more, but they can't very easily stay too long here. Certainly Severov needs to get back a little bit. He is almost on fire already. And here we have Sarania dropping a imp on Helveticano, denying him that next imp and draining his shields. Which means that with 350 energy, he will be able to get in and drop another imp before Helveticano's imp gets up. Seb trying to get in and maybe drop a Siphon somewhere, get a Plague off. Mu coming in with Hardened Shield, and Kush has picked up Rapid Regeneration. And so we'll see what red team gets now. Severov went back just a little bit earlier, mostly that is to heal. But if they had stayed a little bit longer, he actually could have set up a warp trick. I don't think we're going to see that necessarily right now. But this is interesting, actually. It's Weaking going up the side here. He's going to be the warp point. I'm not sure if this is a planned warp trick, or whether this is more... Yeah... Kush is looking for it, though. Kush sees it. He knows what's going on. But they are going to warp in anyway. Right, and Seb with 0.71 speed. He can't really get mowed down here. But they do have to be careful. Weaking actually does have 0.81 speed. And so really what this is doing is it's preventing the blue team from pushing all the way and recovering their farm. Right, setting up the... using the Leviathan to set up warp tricks so that you can just keep the Leviathan on the board the entire time. And just allows your team to come out immediately once they're done upgrading. So that you're never losing the board position. And we're going to get a soft engage up here. Not too much focus damage, not a lot of abilities being used. And in the meantime, Siranj has managed to pick up a little bit of farm here on the side, which can be important on the support getting, the Ravens getting a little bit of feed. But right now it's Kraken and Admiral Nova who are suffering a little bit, who have not managed to get the feed that they want. Yeah, Admiral Nova still does not have any abilities. Kraken has bots and recharge, but he still doesn't have hull. He's going to probably be picking that up now. No, maybe not. No, he gets 1 armor and 2 farming, and he still does not have hull 9 minutes into the game. Interesting build path here. Admiral Nova coming out, still no abilities, but he probably has the 50% continuous shield charge. Kraken pushing in with his Gats is level 0 Gats on Plutarch. Still quite good because it does as much as any other upgrade amount on draining that hardened shield. Mu pushing in on Sever, trying to dodge them cookies. And then Saranja coming in now up to 375 energy on the Imp. The Imp is upgraded, and we can actually drop in and make sure that... Oh, actually no radar. Okay. Guess that is something we could check with Helveticano too, right? Nope, no radar for either team yet. But we do have to watch. Helveticano did cut up here for the next warp trick. Now this is much more of a warp trick because it didn't get spotted. And they're going to manage to get pretty deep here. So we'll see how this goes down. Certainly getting Plague and a Psy Blast off on Kush. Kraken coming up. Not sure why Saranja is cutting so much into it. Guess he wants to drop the Imp, but that seems a little bit dangerous to me. Does look like they want Kush to be the target here. Kush is actually cutting below these rocks over here. This is an interesting escape path. Looks like he wants to bend around the rocks to try to cut them off. But this is now a very hot engagement. They got lances landing on Kush. He's still at 5,000 life, but he cannot regenerate at the moment. Guardian Shield goes up. Mu, I think this is Mu. Is that... No, he's okay. Nah, it was Kraken who was at 5,000 life. There we are. Sever has to pull off. He took a little bit too much damage in the dive. But this is going to be another moment where Red Team once again denies Blue Team the chance to safely stay in farm for any amount of time. Just even if they're not getting picks with the warp tricks, just maintaining the pressure, maintaining the board position, and denying the other team the capacity to farm up and evenize the score. It is a difference of 300, and considering Blue Team just went back, if they can't push out immediately, that can be a bit of a concern. Seb coming out with the 450 energy on for his Plague. Nova coming out, still no abilities here. Mu coming out with the Guardian Shield and the Lance. And actually, Plutarch is now out of shields. If they can get more sustained damage here, this could be a window of opportunity. Obi-Wan is out of shields. Obi-Wan is down to 1,500. Obi-Wan down to 1,200. The Raven is getting the shields on him. Kraken is out of energy for cookies. Obi-Wan takes a lance, but manages to stay at 2,500. He's going to get out. But now it's Sever. Sever at 2,500. But OG Kush is actually also low. He's going to get the rapid regeneration here, but he just took a cookie. He's now down to 4,000. Will the... Oh my god, Helveticano is now the target. Helveticano goes down! This is still a very hot engage. Wheat King is still here. Plutarch is still here, but Blue Team is going to take their kill and they're going to back off. That is enough for them for right now. Denying the other team their Raven is going to be a very big pickup. That's going to make it a lot easier to win the energy war and to get picks later on. This is looking like it very well could be the first match that goes to Game 3 in this tournament so far. Not to say it's over by any stretch, though. Red Team still just came back and managed to get a fair number of upgrades. Nox is coming out with Siphon, Psyblast at 1900. Sever with Cookies at 425 energy. Wheat King coming out with Spray and Rapid Regeneration. Obi-Wan coming out with Lance and Hardened Shield. But Blue Team is going to back off here. They're going to go back, spend their money, and heal. And this is definitely still a game, but this is now the first time in this tournament series that Helveticano's team has been down a ship and down on score. Kush just casually going back, picking up a little bit more farm as he goes back. We're trying to anyway, kind of getting denied by Wheat King's acid spray there. So we're just staying out. He wants to get a few more imps in. He's picked up Defensive Matrix, trying to get an imp on Nox, deny a few of those Side Blasts and Plagues, but a Siphon does land on Saranja. Blue team is pushing out, and red is just, again, giving up the board. Looks like they want to go pick up a few more abilities and upgrade. But once again, Wee King is kind of hanging out on the side here. Considering they all warped back to base, it looks like they just want to upgrade as quickly as possible. So Wee King is not setting up a warp trick here. It's interesting that they don't push into the Sky Fury here. You'd think with the Hardened Shield he really could do that quite easily. But it looks like they just don't want to overcommit right now, even if it means taking a little bit more damage from Sky Fury than they otherwise had to. Here the Tempests have come out. Of course they're all landing on Plutarch, who takes basically no damage from them. And yeah, this is where you would usually expect to see, is Plutarch just basically walks into them and kills them immediately. And we have a bit of a fight here in the cloud. Looks like red team is pushing in, trying to get some damage on Admiral Nova, but for the moment just trying to hold the cloud and abuse the vision advantage this gives them, right? I mean, if you go from the blue team, I mean, they've now pushed back into the cloud. And they want to hold this cloud because anytime red team can stay here, they're going to get the side advantage, but now they're really pushing in on Obi-Wan and Wee King on the side here, but Admiral Nova has to be careful. He is down to 5,000 life. He is out of shields, and now he's down to 2,500. This could be another pickup by the red team, or the first pickup by the red team. Admiral Nova goes down to charges. Nox and Severf manage to get in there. Nox actually manages to get the pick with the Side Blast. That 2,300 Side Blast. And now this is once again an even game, although it is a tank ship versus a support ship pickup for each team, so we'll see which ends up making the bigger difference here. Kush wants to continue threatening Severf, but clearly the game is not over. The game is still very much on. And Nova just pushed in a little bit too hard there. He was ultimately the lowest farm ship on the team, right there about with Kraken. So it's not nearly as bad as if they had said lost Kush, for instance, who is the highest farm ship. But now the score, one ship lost on both teams. The score is very close to even. The main difference being this team still has its Raven, and this team still has all of its tanks. So Kraken coming out, he's now at 400 energy, he's got the 15-second cooldown and protective field, he's got 1580 damage, so just a level 1 boost to the charges, and no range upgrades, just everything you see. Sub coming out with 1800 damage on Side Blast, normal Plague, and 19 range on the Mutalisks. Saranja coming out with 2-second cooldown on Defensive Matrix, so basically continuous, effectively continuous Defensive Matrix. And then we have Obi-Wan coming out with Lance, 525 energy, so a very consistent Lance. OG Kush pops Frenzy and Corruption into Wee King, trying to get a burst of damage here. Red team has to commit to pull back and make sure they can save Wee King here from Kush's aggression. But this is going to be a bit of a push. Both teams are now fighting for farm. Red team is up on farm actually for the moment. Now we have Rhiannon and Kraken pushing in on Severf. And now Sky Fury is coming out. Again, this shouldn't do a lot of damage to Mu, But if it lands a few blasts on OG, Kush, or Kraken, that can actually be significant. Kush is just going to push in and clean it up, though, it looks like. With the defensive matrix, he doesn't take a lot of damage. He actually pops Frenzy to clean up the Sky Fury. And actually, Nox gets corrupted. Takes a Lance. They don't have the follow-up, but he's going to have to go back and heal now. Severf takes a Plague. And blue team is pushing in. They've now evenized the farm again. And now the Tempests are coming out. Again with the 2 Colossi. They shouldn't take too much damage here. But it's just one more thing that they're going to have to deal with. Actually, the creeps have just cleaned it up a little bit. Kraken on 2-shot. Seb on 3-shot with his blast. And they're just going to abandon the Tempests here and go back. They have money to spend. I'm just going to warp out here. This is interesting, actually, right? You have to watch Kush in this case. Because if the others warp out, Kush could always just cut up. He hasn't spent his 300. He might want to pick up another ability himself, though. And so Helveticano is still holding on to a slight farm lead, now that they've evenized the ship count. But at this stage of the game, a 100 farm lead is not hugely significant. Yeah, so Kush picked up Intercept, it looks like. Saranja coming out with Blackout. We got Shield recharged by Moo. Seb's up to 1900 on Side Blast, 575 energy. Obi-Wan pops Invulnerability. And Kraken actually picked up Bombardment as well. And so this is where Red Team is trying to abuse the Cloud. Moo can't get his Lance and his missiles out if he doesn't have vision in the Cloud. So he has to push in. And now it goes the other way, right? Is that now they can't see Moo once he takes the Cloud. Side Blast up there. I gotta be careful because I can't get all the ships on one screen at the same time, and if they start dropping Side Blasts on OG Kush, that could be really significant. Another thing to watch out for is that they're getting to the phase of the game where they really could, if they wanted to, just dive in on the tower once the whole team goes back. It's a little risky. They're definitely thinking about doing a bit of tower damage. The Bombard does not actually do all that much damage to the tower. But it can clean up creeps and get a little bit of farm in. Kraken comes into a bit of a stall here, so he's going to taking a bit of aggression by Weaking and Plutarch. Gets Corruption on him. Gets protected by Moo's Guardian Shield. Looks like Kush dropped Frenzy, probably just because he got siphoned and he wouldn't be able to do it afterward. And blue team is just going to disengage here. And we're going to see both teams just continuing to wrestle, try to make sure everyone is getting the upgrades they need and that they can continue to fight for a farm advantage at this point. We haven't really seen a huge blackout. Certainly if they could get a blackout on Severf and if they could get on 2 of the tanks at the same time, that could be really big. Tempests are coming out on top. Both teams are a little bit nervous about warp tricks here. Certainly the blue team a lot less. Saranja certainly can just see, he has radar so he can see all of the ship positions. There's no frigate, there's no way to juke the map position. Just 2 fat dreadnought tanks poking each other in the side lane here. And not really a fight over the clouds. They're just gonna, red team's just gonna give up the cloud as they do a slow back. Very easy, smooth game for both teams for the moment, as they're just trying to think of, okay, how do we actually generate an advantage. Ooh, there is a dive in on Obi-Wan. Psyblast, Frenzy, Corruption. He's down to 5,000, 4,000, 3,000, 2,000. He goes down! They've turned, they're trying to get Kush or Moo. Kush is at 16,000, Moo is at 12,000. He's getting the Matrix. Severf is on Seb. Severf is at 6,000. Seb is at 9,000. Moo is at 7,000. Severf is at 2,000. Nox is at 3,000. Severf 1,000. Severf has the productive field. He's going back. He's going back. He's at 100. He goes down. Nox goes down. Wee King is at 4,000. 1,000 down. Plutarch, this game has swung. Kraken has, for the first time in this tournament series, managed to make it a 3-game match. We're going to game 3 for match round 3. We have the GGs, and Helveticano's team is totally wiped out. We get the victory screen, and we're going to game 3. Both teams demonstrating that they can react to the other player strategies. We've gone 4-tank versus 4-tank. It could be that we're going to see another 4-tank versus 4-tank composition going in here. But definitely a very exciting game. Some very big swings from both teams, really. I mean,